morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there we go. So my name is Ohan. I'm the founder and CEO of a company here called Freedom Pizza. I'm also the CEO and founder of a technology company called Big Dwarf, which is based sort of here and around the world. Freedom Pizza, for those of you that don't know, is a healthier, sort of super fast delivery company based here in the United Arab Emirates. We have global ambitions, but right now we're here. We have about 250 team members, 150 delivery drivers, and our business is 95% delivery, so technology is very important to what we do. Today, over 50% of our business comes in through our online ordering system and a platform, and we expect that to be 75% within the next 12 to 18 months. Our entire company and everything that we do is facilitated by technology. Everything that we do locally and how we plan to scale internationally is based on technology. Our human resources platform is cloud-based. Our operating platform is cloud-based. We have in-store camera and surveillance, obviously store point of sale systems, which are all designed for delivery. These are all also buttoned together with our own proprietary online ordering and back-end system. So we built our own system that pulls together all the various systems so that we can see our business in real time. And as a team, we collaborate with collaboration software. So we don't use a lot of email in our company. Everything we do is task-based and cloud-based. What's unique about our company is that in a world where third-party delivery and third-party aggregators and the disruptors are playing, we own our entire value chain from soup to nuts. So we own the technology, the online ordering platform that our customers deal with. We have a proprietary delivery team. We obviously produce the product, and we handle everything under our roof, and we think that's very important. Today, what I'd like to do is give you an overview of the importance of technology in food and beverage, so food tech, if you will, and we've heard a lot about that in the last few days. But I also want to give you my view that technology is the through line, but it's not the final answer or the final form. And for our business, we're relatively nascent in terms of where we're at in that continuum. So the question I ask everybody, and myself often, is what business am I in? And you often hear people say, well, I'm in the food and beverage business. I'm a restaurateur. I make food. I'm in the service and the hospitality business. I'd argue today that none of that makes any sense whatsoever. And we as an industry have failed to prepare ourselves for what we want as consumers and what all consumers want, which is convenience. And our job as an industry is to go to where our customers are and give them what they want when they want it. It's the idea that this is the case is fairly two-dimensional. It's something that's a failure, in my view, from our industry, but we're not the only industry to have suffered that fate. If as a restaurateur you feel that your only job is to provide food and service, then I think you're likely going to fail. Your job is to deliver this total on and offline customer experience, and the nexus of value isn't on product and price alone. Convenience is the new 800-pound gorilla in our business. I'm also in the pizza business. We make food. I see a lot of industries, people focusing, if you look at their marketing, it tends to focus on my product is better, my product is good, or my price is better. This is very two-dimensional, and in a very competitive, arguably oversupplied industry, will also, I think, lead companies to fail. And of course, we're in the people business. We offer hospitality and service. This means making sure that we develop, train, and grow our team members to provide great service. It also, of course, means taking care of our customers. I happen to be in the logistics business, and the pizza industry was one of those industries that pioneered logistics and delivery. And so I'm kind of fortunate because we're not or less affected by third-party delivery and the aggregators because we were already in that business. And I think if you look at what's happening today, delivery and logistics is extraordinarily important. I would argue that even last-mile delivery is not solved for by anyone today. But what we do today is very important to our business. If we didn't manage our own logistics today, I don't think we'd be the company that we are today and have the opportunities that we have. If you look at the size of the overall delivery market, it's estimated to be globally about $100 billion today. It's growing at an average annual rate of about 4%. Online ordering for home deliveries currently constitutes about 42% of all deliveries that come through an online ordering platform, and that's estimated to go up to 58% by 2020. So the numbers are staggering. The opportunity is staggering, and it's also the very nascent industry. You know, the third-party disruptors are very recent to our industry, and that, you know, accounts for all the money that's pouring into that sector right now. You know, you've got in the US Postmates, Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Carriage, Caviar, DoorDash, Careem, Talabat, Food on Click, Grubhub, Amazon Prime, and the list goes on, and there's a new player every single day. We are witnessing today a race for domination in this last mile delivery. What is clear is that this phenomenon is not in its final form. The disruptors today are going to be disrupted again. We are also in the technology business, and the question I ask if you're in the food and beverage business is, aren't you? Because you're either in the technology business today or you rely on somebody else's technology, and that's dangerous, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the future, in the future slides. I would argue today that it is 100% mandatory to be in the technology business, or to have planned for technology in a meaningful way in your business. We went so far as a delivery company to build our own platform. We set up our own company that develops only for Freedom Pizza. And this has given us a very powerful tool because it's not just the online ordering, and people tend to look today at what's disrupting the market. I mean, there's the technology, there's the apps that everybody loves, and that convenience, and then there's the delivery. But for us, the power sits beyond and it's much deeper. So to me, that's the tip of the iceberg in terms of the power of technology. The power sits below, and the fact that we have our own team and our own development plan gives us a lot of power to not only adapt to the way the market is moving on a day-by-day basis. It allows us to iterate in real time. It allows us to learn and pivot, improve, fix. If it doesn't work, throw it out. So we have this unique ability to adapt to the market and also be ahead of the market. We're big enough as a company that we have, we can, if we choose, commit these resources to have this technology. But we're also small enough that we're fairly dynamic. So our platform went from a 0% online order rate to 52% online order rate in under 2.5 years. And it's growing sort of at exponential rates. We continue to build out our platform. We launched Visa Checkout, Apple Pay, Apple Watch ordering. We'll be launching Facebook ordering shortly. We've just launched the first installment of our digital loyalty program, which is for corporates. We're going to be launching a late-night rewards club, a loyalty game. We have a new international global addressing system. We're developing driver apps at the moment. We have a sort of a very unique enhanced digital couponing system that we use, which is a very strong marketing tool. We're developing the database analytics. We have a communication hub in the background. Our customer communication module, which we've launched and we're building, we've probably launched about 10% of where we want to be with that, which allows us to respond in real time to our customers. So we're talking 2 to 4 minutes, not 2 to 4 days, which is in some cases. We have reporting, operational analysis, performance analytics, and the list goes on. We are building a platform that sits below the online ordering, below the customer experience. That's important to the customer. What we do underneath gets translated in a neat and clean way to the customer, and in a way that provides value to them. So I'm also in the convenience business, and I'd argue today that you're either in the convenience business or the experience business. And you can see what's happening with restaurants today. The customer today is so overwhelmed with this choice and convenience that we've never had before. So today, if you sit in the US, you can get on Amazon Prime or the UK or in other markets, you can have things delivered to you within an hour. You can have anything from all over the world, delivered to your door within a matter of hours, if not within the hour. This is a convenience that we've never had before. The consumer today values convenience over all else. And I think that's a temporary situation. I think it's going to pervade for some time, but the focus on convenience over experience is, I think, a temporary phenomenon. But it is very real, and all of our peers, I think, are experiencing that today. If I can deliver something to you in 23 minutes, 365 days a year, you'll order from me simply because it's convenient. In some cases, not because you want pizza this evening, maybe because it's convenient and it's reliable. In terms of experience, what I've got shown on the slide here is my favorite restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants in the world. I'm not going to tell you where it is. But on the other, if convenience is on one end of the spectrum, the other end of the spectrum is absolute experience. And if you look at this restaurant, if you want to see that vanilla sky, if you want to see those beautiful eucalyptus trees, if you want to have the cool breeze in the evening, if you want to have that the sommelier come out and give you a beautiful bottle of wine, if you want that experience, if you want to be greeted by people who know you and seat you at the table that you like, that's the only place I can do that for that restaurant. They can't export that, they can't make that convenient, and that's not their business model. In fact, they make very little effort to be online in any way, shape, or form. Now, that is the other extreme. So today, that business model has longevity, and extreme convenience has longevity. I think if you start to look at what's happening in the industry today, and I think if you look at other industries, you'll get a sense for what's happened. Because we're not the first industry to be disrupted by technology, and we're not the first industry to not see it coming, and we're not going to be the last. If you look at, it really started in the hotel and the travel business over 20, 25 years ago. If you look at companies like Expedia and Travelocity, if you speak to any hotelier that was around 20 years ago, they'll tell you that it was the biggest mistake the industry made was to abdicate the control of that customer relationship and that marketing to third parties. Expedia and the industry is today still trying to wind back that control, but the technology industry stepped in to do what the hotel and the airline industry couldn't do for itself, or chose or missed the opportunity. They could certainly do it for themselves. But today Expedia has a market cap of $17 billion, which is more than the market cap of the entire chain hotel industry. So it gives you a sense for the size and the scale of these markets, and it also gives you a sense for what the technology industry sees in food and beverage today. Because what I would argue is we're just at the very, very beginning of the market opportunity, and they see it. And the food and beverage industry is watching them insert themselves into the customer relationship. These companies represent oligopolies and are wreaking havoc on the industry. The second industry to be disrupted, of course, was the retail industry. And if you look at companies like Toys R Us, they've got, they've been disrupting, they've gone bankrupt simply because they taught their consumer that you can go and get your product from Amazon instead of coming into one of our 900 stores, which offers no experience. I'm going to skip through because I'm conscious of time. The disruptors today are basically broken down in our industry into two sort of areas, which is really market forces, which are things like health, increasing appetite for health, oversupply, arguably in certain markets, wage inflation, redistribution of purse. So people, instead of eating at home or going out for dinner or ordering in, they now will eat from supermarkets, pre-prepared meals. It's not that we're eating more, it's just that we're redistributing our eating patterns more. In terms of technology, all the things that we've talked about are important, but we talk about things like drone delivery and all these things as disruptors, but the real issue and the real thing that nobody ever talks about is the data. If you are a restaurant and you never collected any data, then you don't really see the loss of giving it to somebody else. And as an industry, we failed to collect data. And that's what nobody talks about. Nobody talks about that data because that's what they're actually after. So if you look at the companies that are failing today and the companies that are doing well today, this chart makes absolutely no sense conceptually, but other than on the left side, the top side, these are restaurants and food and beverage companies that are failing primarily because they offer neither really experience nor convenience. So they're stuck in the middle. I don't want to own any of these restaurants today. On the right side, you see absolute convenience at the bottom, so it's Amazon Prime, Uber Eats, Postmates, and the list goes on. Companies like Domino's and Papa John's are outperforming a market that is flat to negative, and they're highly outperforming the markets because they own their entire value chain, and they've spent money on technology. Panera and Starbucks are more recent out of pizza delivery companies, and that have taken on delivery and technology in a big, strong way, and their market share, their growth is far eclipsing other concepts. And you look at companies like Sweet Greens, which have a very market-relevant concept and have also adopted technology. So you can see there's a big divide in what's happening today, but those industries that have failed, or those restaurant brands that have failed to address it, are suffering. So the question I would ask all of you, if I gave you $50,000 for your customer database today, if you have one, would you take it? Because that's what you're doing when you go on third-party aggregators. You're basically, not only are you, they're after your data. They're after your customers because they want them on their platform. Once they have them on their platform, they own that relationship. And what's worse is you're paying the bill. You're paying them between 5 and 30% to allow them to skim your customer and then manipulate that customer. And once they have control of that value chain, once they're supplying you with 20 or 30% of your business, they own you. So now, guess what? They have full and unilateral price control. And ultimately, they have your data. And that's what the industry's after, and that's what all the money, the Silicon Valley money that's chasing these companies is after. I'm going to skip through this slide. What I would say that, in terms of what we have to do going forward as an industry is we have to design our future. We have to think about all of these different aspects and how we address them in our own businesses. The ideal scenario is to own them all, in my view, because I'm a control freak and I like to, control the entire customer experience in the way that we operate. And I see a value in the ability to learn and grow in that area, not just now, but in the future. But as an industry, we need to think about these things beyond food and beyond hospitality. So for me, though, what I think is interesting is that that's my son, by the way. So but what I think is interesting is that the real opportunity and the real future of technology is not the technology itself, because technology will become ubiquitous. You'll either be in the technology business or have access to it or have accounted for it in your business. So technology, in my view, in the food business, is going to become ubiquitous. It's going to get better, it's going to change. But if you don't have some level of technology, you won't exist. Unless you're in this pure experience business, and even then I would argue you'd be remiss if you didn't address it. And so for me, the through line in technology is when you put experience back into the technology. And so at a very core and a very base level, Amazon is the most brutally efficient system in the world. They're absolute, it's brutal efficiency, but it's not human. If you actually look at the Amazon experience, it's extremely inhuman. It's not personal, there's nothing hospitable about it, it's ruthless efficiency. For me, the opportunity and what we're working on, our job is to remove the unnecessary friction. So James mentioned things like, I'd love to walk out of a restaurant without having to pay a check like I do getting out of an Uber, right? It's ridiculous to me that in an industry we haven't solved for that. That is an easy technological solution and adds a huge amount of value to me. And guess what? You also get my data, because I'll happily give you my data if I don't have to reach into my pocket and pull out a credit card and all of that. That's a great opportunity. But once you remove that, if you can go into a hotel today, you can be in a taxi on the way to the hotel, book your hotel room, walk into the hotel, open the door with your phone, and check out and leave without anyone saying hello to you or goodbye. And that's not the ideal scenario. That's brutal efficiency. But what I believe the through line is when you can remove the unnecessary friction and add back human friction. So you have to replace that with something which is personal and which adds value back to the hospitality experience. And I think that's where the nexus of technology is going to be in food in our industry. And I think that's the through line. I think today everybody's focused on this technology, but the real opportunity is to put experience back into convenience and give the customers what they want when they want it. And that's all I have for now. Are there questions, or we're running behind, I think?
I think let's hear from Benjamin as well next, because we're covering two topics under the same one roof, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian.